Welcome into another edition of Michigan Unplugged, episode number 5, I believe. I am Darnell. I'm here with my co-host Giovanni, and look, y'all already know it's Victory Monday, right? And we are about to break down what we saw from that dominant win in Minnesota. I think PJ Flex said at his press conference it was the best team he has seen in 11 years for, top to bottom. 73 out of 74 players played. Pure domination. Giovanni, exactly what I told you I wanted to see last week. I saw it again this week. But before I kind of talk about what I saw on the defense, let's hit the offense first and get a breakdown from you on what you saw from the offense. What did you like? What did you think they can improve in? Some areas of improvement, and then we'll go from there.
Yes. First of all, what's going on, Darnell? Another dominant victory by the offense. By the team in totality, but specifically to the offense wise, we didn't really. I don't think we touched the ball until about what, like 7 minutes in, 5 minutes in, because we had that pick six. So Minnesota got two straight offensive possessions to start the game. But once we finally got out there, like I said, it was just business as usual for the offensive line looked good again. Blake Corum had another good game, I believe, with the offensive line gelling again. We still had the same lineup as we did last week that we had the most success in with our combination of units that we brought out there. That you can notice that the holes are getting bigger and bigger for our running backs. You notice Blake had a huge run up the sideline, and he was he was just going out there jogging the sideline, kind of chilling. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy, but JJ had another efficient game. If you look at the box score, he didn't throw the ball that many times, but every time he threw it, it was an efficient throw. He didn't put the ball in harm's way I believe, at all. Um, Not many. I believe there was like maybe two QB hurries for the most part, and the one time JJ did get hit, it was for a touchdown. He got hit after he released it, and he hit Coastal Level of the sideline. So in totality, a really good really good showing. In the first half, they did sputter a bit. That first possession we had, we could have ended up with seven, but Cornelius Johnson dropped the ball. That would have been an easy first down, which forced us to kick the field goal. We were having a little debate in the playback saying, like, oh, if after like Cole Crawford was the last person to have the number, no, not Cole Crawford, excuse me, Andrew Anthony was the last person to have the number one, right? If you know in Michigan, you give that number one to like that dude. You want to give him to that receiver that can be a dominant force that can take over games. And so far, Roman Wilson, he has taken the mantle of number one, and he's been living up to it so far this season through 6 games. And it was between Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson. Where I was saying, like, bro, do not give that number one to Cornelius Johnson. He don't need the number one. But and literally that block, excuse me, not block, that drop showed it. And we were just laughing about it. So but he did make up for it. He had a very athletic catch. It was like a one-on-one. I believe it was a post. It was a post that JJ threw him, and he made a really good adjustment to the ball in the air, and he came down with it, which also led to 7 points. So all in all, really good showing from the offense. Not really much to complain about. Even Donovan Edwards getting good contributions after. I believe he got stuffed on a first and no, excuse me. It was like a swing pass. I believe it was like a little swing pass to the right, little toss, and he got tackled behind the line of scrimmage for about so created a second and 13. And he went out and caught a ball again, and he took it to made a first down right after the fact. So he even made up for his mistakes. Khalil Mullings had another really good showing that depth with our running backs. The three that we've been playing have been playing good, so that's really good to see. And shout out to Tuttle. Tuttle and Barner was starting to get it going in the second half. Barner, I know he had a catch by JJ and also had a pretty big catch by Tuttle. Took it about 12 yards. Tuttle scrambled himself out for about what, like 15 yards by himself for a first down. It was a third down conversion. He even threw the ball. He just ran for the first down, which ended up in a touchdown inevitably for that drive. So another good showing by the offense. We had a 50 ball, which is our highest point total of the season. Looking ahead real quick, going up against Indiana, you want to see this type of thing carry over. I want to see another 45 points put up on the board. So let's keep this consistency. Even though this wasn't all on the offense today, the offense did come alive and was way more efficient in the second and third quarters.
Yeah, so while you were going, I was looking at the box score, right? A couple key things jumped out to me about the offense and the performance. Like you said, JJ, very efficient game. He went 14 of 20 for 100 and it just disappeared off my screen. I think it was like 239, one touchdown um, through the air. I believe he had one touchdown or two touchdowns on the ground, right?
Who? JJ? Yes.
Yeah. So he had one through the air, two on the ground, which normally you expect that to come from our running backs. Khalil Mullins put up, 47 yards. He's averaging 5.9 yards per carry. Blake averaging 7.7. So that's starting to tick up. He had a touchdown. And then Donovan is over that. He's finally got over that 5.0 mark. Um, And then, of course, in the receiving, you had Cornelius with 86 yards. You had Colson Loveland with 24. Roman had 66, and Donovan had 25. So you put up 241 yards through the air. You put up another 191 yards on the ground. Just an efficient game being played by the offense, not the big gaudy numbers. Shout out to Joe Clack. He said that Michigan is like a boa constructor, right? And if you know anything about a boa constructor, you know that once it gets a hold of you, it just keeps squeezing and squeezing until it understands that you don't have any more life in your body. And then finally, it goes in for what the quote unquote kill is. And so when you look at this Michigan team, when you look at this offensive line is starting to gel. I think we all agree Henderson is the best left tackle we have. Barnard is the best right tackle we have. You know about our two guys, two guards on the inside. They're nasty. They're NFL level guys with Keegan and Zinner. And then you got Drake Nugent, who is the center. All played outstanding games, and they kept JJ clean for the most part. What I would like to see evolve into this offense is as we're starting to get to November, right? I want us to clean up some of the mental mistakes that we still make outside of penalties. We don't get called for penalties. We play pretty much a clean game. We don't beat ourselves. But Cornelius, some of the other receivers, Barnard, Loveland, even Roman, I've seen balls where they've dropped catchable balls, right? And it's most of the time is because they're looking to get upfield and they're not securing the ball first, right? Could the balls be a little bit lower on JJ's end? Yes, they could be a little bit more on target. But look, I never played receiver, but my cousin is a receiver. And in high school, I used to hear our receivers coach yelling at our receivers and say, if the ball hits your hands, you can catch it, right?
Hmm.
And so I would like to see us clean that up because while it's great to have this type of efficient type of win on offense, you're going to be playing against better defenses in November, i.e. Penn State, i.e. Ohio State. And I think these next 3 weeks are get right weeks, right? You got an Indiana team who's on the ropes that's not very good. We know we probably won't see our starters past mid third quarter. Then you're going to get ready for a crosstown rival. We go to East Lansing this year. Yes, they're not good, but we know that environment is going to be hostile, right? It would be their Super Bowl to lose all of their games and to beat us, right? And so we're going to have to go out there and take care of business like we've been doing these past 2 weeks. Then we get a bye, and we come off the bye, and we got a Purdue team that we don't know what their record will be at that time. They'll either be playing for bowl eligibility or they'll be mailing it in. And then you go through that gauntlet of Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. So I want to see this offense continue to improve. I want to see those numbers continue to tick up for Blake and Donovan, right? Last year, I think they were averaging about 4.5, 5 yards a pop, right? That's what I want to see. One thing I will say, and I'll point out, and then we can move on, is Michigan fans understand this. Donovan Edwards had the same type of performance last year. Like, if you really, I want to pull it up so that people could understand it because I know people are going crazy and saying that Donovan Edwards is not the Donovan Edwards of last year, and I can agree with you. He hasn't played up to where we thought Donovan Edwards should be coming into this year, because we thought that Donovan Edwards should have had a better season. This is his now sophomore year, right? I mean, junior year. But if you go back and you look at his stats, he went off in 4 games: Penn State, Ohio State, TCU, Purdue. When was those 4 games? All at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
All at the end of the season. So give him a little bit more time. I'm pretty sure this week it'll be ramped up even more for him, Michigan State. And then when we get in November, that's where I expect to see Donovan Edwards break out and go give me 120 yards. Maybe it's 60 through the air and 50 on the ground. Maybe it's 60-60, right? But that's when I expect to see Donovan Edwards become Donovan Edwards. And to be honest with you guys, that's what I want him to be. I don't need Donovan to have the flashy stats right now. I need Donovan to have the flashy stats when it matters. When we line it up against Chop Robinson, right? And we got to go get 5 yards in Happy Valley. Or we line up against JTT and we got to go get 5 yards in Ann Arbor. That's what I want Donovan to have his best game. So I just tell everybody to pump the brakes. Like I said last week, relax and enjoy this ride. We haven't seen an offense this dominant in our, like, last year we thought we couldn't be more dominant than we was. This offense might be more dominant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we just need to relax and understand that we're on a historical ride. We're on a great ride that we all believe can end in a natty. So let's just enjoy it, right? Let's not worry about who's not getting the stats, who going to the draft, because I'm telling you, those kids not worried about that. They worried about winning the natty. They understand they're on the cusp of it, right? When you're on the cusp of greatness, you don't allow yourself to be distracted by outside noise. Clear that out and you focus on the task at hand. And I'm telling you right now, their task at hand is going out, being dominant against Indiana. So that's my 2 cents on the offense. You can wrap it up, and then we can move on to the defense.
Yeah, real quick on a couple of things to add on the offense. I said this last week. When you're on the road in a hostile environment, especially with a rivalry game like Minnesota, even though Minnesota has been the best rival for Michigan lately, but still, rivalry game at night. That place was packed for kickoff. You want to be able to step on their throat as soon as you can and put that game away. That's what Michigan showed once again. We didn't see them playing with their food that much. Yes, Minnesota was able to run the ball a little bit in that second quarter, but after that, we shared that up, and that crowd was silent. They were gone by the third quarter. That's what I expect out of this Michigan team, and that's what we did against Nebraska. That's what we did against Minnesota, and I expect us to do that again against Michigan State. When you have a great team like this, you don't want to mess around. You want to get in and get out and get your starters out so they can prepare for the next game, and you can get more reps for your younger players. The 2s and 3s are going to be there next year that the seniors weren't. These are very, very important reps. Like, they are still getting in October. This is the opportunity that this team has, that we have every game. I believe it's every game. Our starters are being pulled before or right at after the third quarter, right? That means and even before then, we are rotating heavily, especially defensively, but offensively, we are rotating a lot. And these 2s and 3s are getting key snaps, and that's very, very important for them to not just get these reps at practice or at the very end of games when it's pretty much 5 minutes left. You might get a drive or two. No, they're getting like legit like a full quarter for the most part. So shout out to Michigan for, like I said, taking care of business as soon as you can. The game is over by the time you look up and it's 5 minutes left in the second quarter. The game is over. We're about 2 possessions and we're about to get the ball back and score and stuff like that. So that's one. And second thing, and we can switch to the defense. Shout out to Khalil Mullings. I made a tweet about it like a couple of days ago. I believe it was on Sunday. It was on the Colston Loveland touchdown. Khalil Mullings absolute laid out that blitzer. I believe it was a linebacker. Khalil Mullings, it was a fake handoff, and he saw the blitzer and he leveled him. And the linebacker had a running start and everything. Khalil Mullings just took 2 steps, boom, boom, pow. And you would look up and you can see on the replay that he was on his back. That's the type of things I like to look for, because we've had our issues with our running backs pass blocking, i.e. Donovan Edwards. But other than, like I said, like, to see that, man, it's just like I don't know, it's something that gets you going because I didn't notice it at first, but this on my second watch, I was like, oh, that was a really good block. Let me shout him out real quick.
And you know what's crazy? And I really, I promise I should about the offense, but it's funny you bring up that play, right? Because that play, there was a lot that went down. Khalil Mullins' block was amazing. But what I want to highlight is somewhere where I've seen JJ's development, right? JJ sees the blitzer come into the box. He knows where the blitzer is coming from. He walks up to the line, audibles the line protection. He lets the center know he's blitzing B gap, right? Lets Khalil know that's your guy to pick up. Then it looked like it might have been a run play into the gap they were blitzing. He checks out of the run play and runs the pass play, and it's wide open, right? You can't teach that. That is what they expect you to do on the NFL level, right? Identify the defense, make the adjustment, execute. One thing I did not see JJ do a lot of last year was that he was having a hard time. Didn't look like he was seeing defenses correctly. That looks like that has been fixed. So kudos to him. Another reason why a lot of your NFL draft experts have JJ going in the first round, some top 5, some top 10, some just in the first round. Hell, as a Rams fan, I'm starting to come around to it. I love to have him. He can sit behind Stafford for a year or two and be the heir apparent. So shout out to that. Shout out to that young man. Yeah, so let's talk about the defense next. Look, the defense was playing out of its mind. The defense has been playing out of its mind all year, but I think they took it up to another level. And while I like the guy, right, I hate that he's about to catch this straight. But are we ready to have a conversation to ask what the hell Cade McNamara was talking about? Saying that he's never been on a defense
I
that's
don't know. I was actually disgusted by the comments he made, but continue though. Continue.
like the defense outscored Minnesota. Like if the offense don't score anything, we win 14-10. Like we have some ball hawks in that secondary. They've put Keon Saab on the field, and literally they're having to find somewhere else to put Rob Moore or Makari Page. That's how good the kid has been.
I noticed Makari in the slot. He was
Yeah,
in the slot.
because Keon has been killing it at safety. You can't keep that talent off the field. He has instincts. He's a thumper. He'll come up and run support. But as you saw this weekend, he can play in coverage and get you a pick six too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a wealth of riches for us. You get what I'm saying? Because now we're about to strengthen ourselves because if we can put Makari in the slot and Mikey can play on the outside, that's a scary defense to go against. And we know Will locking up wide receiver 1.
You already know that.
We can put Mikey on wide receiver 2. And we can put Makari on wide receiver 3, and over the top of Makari and Mikey, you got Keon Saab roaming and locking shit down. And you got Rob Moore on the other side with Will, where he don't got to do much because Will is locking down on the other side. Like, that defense is scary. And we already have great DBs, great linebackers and great D-line, which I'm going to highlight here in a second. But my first standout shout-out star was Keon Saab. Of course, Will. I expect Will. I've been waiting on you to put on the buffs all season, baby. I've been waiting on it. I don't
He
know.
took it to the crib, man.
I don't know what you've been waiting on, but I'm glad you decided to open up the game and start the party off right. Shout out to Coach Harbaugh in the picture. I got that picture. It's pretty dope. Harbaugh,
Bro, that's hilarious, bro. I love him as a coach, man.
hilarious, bro. I love my coach. So let's break down the numbers real quick, and then I'm gonna get to my second shout out because it's gonna be in the numbers. We held Minnesota to 169 total yards, 82 through the air. Their quarterback was 6 of 16. He averaged 3.3 yards per pass. And he threw 2 picks. They ran for 117 yards off 39 rushing attempts. 39 rushing attempts. They ran for 117 yards. Compare that to us. We ran for 191 yards off of 33 rushing attempts, and it was at 5.8.
Mm-hmm.
We held them to, of course, the two interceptions. They held the ball longer than us for 3 minutes. 3 minutes longer and had way less yards. Um, so that kind of wraps up the stats. But here I want to go into the box score because the box score is where it's really going to tell. Guys, enjoy Mason Graham while you have him. Shout out to Mr. Alan Graham, that be in the spaces with us on Twitter. Enjoy that young man while you have him because he will be a top first round draft pick after next year.
He's gone.
The kid went out and only just was wrecking their offensive line with one hand.
First game back.
A club. It's supposed to be a disadvantage for him because he can't grip with the other hand. And all he did was say, nah, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm going to still go out here and wreck their line. I'm going to still get tackles for losses. I'm going to still get sacks. Like, enjoy. We haven't had that type of interior pressure in a long time. Still got big Kenneth Grant, who's a beast. Still got Rashawn Benny, who's a beast. And then you get, now these edge rushers are starting to get comfortable. The freak, Chris Jenkins, getting loose. The transfer, Stewart, getting loose. And you know what time it is. If we can get there with 4 and let our linebackers sit back there and decide when they want to blitz, when we want to send Mike Baird, when we want to send Ernest Heisman, when we want to send Junior Colston, it could get real scary for you.
Darnell, truly, when's the last time we were able to just get back there with just 4? 2016? 2018?
The 16 year, 18, you was able to get back there with 4. For the most part, 21, you was able to get back there with 8, and then Ojabo, you get back there with 4. But the reason why this team is different and this D line is different is because we usually create pressure on the edges. This D line is creating pressure up the middle. The edges are still getting there, but when you're looking at what's the havoc that's being wrecked in the backfield, it's coming up the middle. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Rashawn Benny, these guys are coming up the middle, and that's not something that Michigan has had in quite some time. I'd have to sit back and think.
That's why I brought up 2016 because, and I guess 2017 because Mo Hurst was like the first thing that came to mind.
And I mean, Mo Hurst is probably, that line probably would be the best because last year we got it with Mozzie, but Mozzie was a run stopper.
Yeah, he was a run stopper. Plugger.
Pressure. Mo Hurst was getting up into you, know, up the middle. So I think you're right with that analysis. And so when you have that type of thing working for you, Braden McGregor, right? Another end starting to get loose. When you start to be able to bring exotic pressure, right? And the reason why I call it exotic is because if I can get there with 4 and then I can start picking and choosing which gap I want to send a linebacker through because I know I'm getting there with 4, it gets hard for an offense, right? Because if I'm getting there with 4, that means that you have somebody on my line double team. So if I let the linebacker delay blitz and everybody's taking an assignment, it's free kill on the quarterback every time. Good teams are able to do it. Perfect example, if you want to look at a team that's able to bring 4 and run exotic blitzes on the back end, San Francisco 49ers. That's what they good at, right? They got one of the top front 4s in defense in the NFL, and they got great linebackers who are behind them for support. So if you can't run the ball on us because we stopping the run and we ain't giving you enough time to pass, and you're not making plays with your feet to get out of that pocket, it's going to be a long day for you. So for the rest of the year, if we're not facing mobile quarterbacks, statue quarterbacks are going to get killed. Because where do you hear most quarterbacks don't want to see pressure? Up the middle. They can elude pressure up the edges because they can climb the pocket. But when it's up the middle, there's no pocket for you to climb to. And if you're looking for an escape lane and our ends are staying disciplined, they're not giving you those escape lanes, they're funneling you back to the middle where the pressure originally was coming from in the first place. So the only way to defeat that is to throw the ball extremely fast. But when you're throwing the ball extremely fast, you can't eat down the field because you need down the field plays to develop. You ain't got no time to develop down the field plays. Speed demons and good receivers, i.e., Marvin Harrison, they kind of get shuffled out the game, right? Because we ain't gonna give you enough time to get there for that route to develop. You have to be a check down machine. And the one thing about our defense is we just wait for you to make a mistake because we know you are, and we pounce on the mistake and we pursue to the ball. Every time I saw Michigan had one guy, it was 4 or 5 guys running in pursuit. So I just think that it's going to be hard to beat this team. You're going to have to play perfect because they play damn near perfect. And this defense is for real, man. 6.6 points per game leads the nation. He gave up 10 this last game, and one could say they got the 7 on like a cheap last second defense wasn't really prepared for the Hail Mary type situation touchdown. Other than that, you gave up 3 points. That's how I know the touchdown, not just taking anything away from Minnesota, but that's how I know the touchdown was a cheap touchdown, right? They didn't score anymore the rest of the game. So if it was good enough for them to score, they would have kept on scoring it. They couldn't. So shout out to the defense. That's my 2 cents on that. I love the intensity that I'm seeing from them. Guys are playing for each other. And like I said, my 2 shout outs, Keon Saab being one. You can share with Will Johnson and then also Mason Graham. I'm just in awe in what Mason Graham is and what he's become. And he's only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore, man. He's a baby still, bro. But you're right. Shout out to the defense, man. Going back to that, like I said, my only issue in the defense was the second quarter. That's when we saw the Minnesota had the most success on offense. But like Jesse Minter does, man, coming out of halftime, they made those adjustments and they didn't get not a thing. I don't remember what the exact stat was, how many yards they actually got in the second half, but it was let's say it wasn't much. It wasn't much at all. So shout out to the defense once again. And like I said before, man, we are rotating heavy, 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 especially in the defense DBs. We're seeing Quentin Johnson coming in for Rob Moore and Makari Page. Obviously, Keon Sabb is getting snaps. Like we're getting a lot of rotation back there, and like these are like rotations happening in the first, second, and third quarters. Like this isn't happening in garbage time minutes. They are getting rotated heavily early in these games, going against first team offenses. Then they're seeing this throughout the whole season. You know what I mean? So this is very, very key for our development and for their development. And we're seeing who's blossoming right now. Like I said, Keon Sabb, he's been doing good all year, and boom, now as soon as he saw an opportunity, he got a pick six and took it to the house, man. So shout out to those guys, and like you said, man, Mason Graham is an absolute bully, man. He's a monster on that defensive line, one-handed, doesn't matter, man. But in terms of special teams, obviously, there doesn't really much to take away from. We still have that dentist back there. Oh well, you know, it is what it is. But they are rotating Tyler Morris back there too.
I'm about to say Shemaj caught one too.
It was Samaj. I thought it was Tyler Morris. I wasn't sure.
Tyler Morris was on the punt. Samaj was on the kickoff.
Oh, okay. So you're right. You're right. Yeah. So I don't believe we took a field goal. I don't believe we attempted a field goal.
We did. 31 yarder.
It was a 31 yarder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, we made that too. So like I said, all in all, pretty much a really good game. Got that crowd out the game immediately, and for the most part, it's just execution, business as usual.
And we were healthy. We left the game healthy, which is key. You don't want to see any big time injuries over the next 3 to 4 weeks, right? You need to be healthy for Penn State and Ohio State. So. One other thing I'll say before we close it down, because I know guys looking at the pod don't want nobody to feel left out. Because I'm a big guy myself. I'm gonna start shouting out the big fellas every week. This week, the first person I want to shout out, very first big fella I want to shout out, Cam Good, bro. You are absolute unit on the line, bro. You be back there wrecking havoc and be hawking quarterbacks down. I see you, big fella. I didn't know you could move like that, but you be moving. So shout out to Cam Good, uh, absolute menace on the line. Um, and next week, I'm pretty sure I'll highlight one of the big fellas on the offense or the defensive side. But he stood out to me because every time I see 98, he in the backfield.
Yeah, Cam Good's been a monster too, man. Like I said, these D tackles that we have, man, they are creating havoc on the defensive line. And like you said, man, when they get that push into a quarterback space, especially a quarterback who's not as mobile as a lot of these other quarterbacks are, that's huge. That's almost equivalent to a sack because they're not going to be able to escape if our edges contained properly and they stay in their lanes. That's an easy sack from defense. Or we force a bad throw to where like I said, we see another pick six, something like that. So
Right.
shout out to the D tackle. So real quick before we get out of here, um, some scores around the country. Darnell, what was the game that stood out to you? I know for me, I know everybody's going to say that Texas Oklahoma game, but really the game I'm gonna point out is Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
Ooh.
Mm. And here's the reason why I say me personally, I don't really care. I don't really care that much about Notre Dame. I hate them like the average Michigan fan. They're our rivals. I don't really care about them, but I don't really care about them. But the reason why I pointed them out is because they're on a certain somebody's resume, and they squeaked by that game with 10 players on the defensive side, and they still squeaked by that game with a goal line touchdown. That win is getting weaker and weaker by the week. By the week, and if they get put on the hub by USC this Saturday, it's going to get nasty for the narratives I'm about to spread. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Man, there's a lot of good games, bro. I could have went USC squeaking out against Arizona. I could have went um, Alabama, Texas A&M. I could have went UCLA upsetting Wazoo. But the game I have to bring up, and I'm gonna try to make this quick because I don't want this episode to be too long. But the game I got to bring up is the Miami game.
Mm.
Here's the thing: I was literally watching that game. Looked over at my girl. She was like, "Hey, let's have a movie night." I look at the score. It's a minute 30. Georgia Tech just turned the ball over. I'm like, okay, they're gonna take four knees. Miami squeaks out a win against Georgia Tech. Turn the game off. Me and the old lady, we watch a couple movies, come back around 1:30 in the morning, pop open Twitter. The Michigan spaces have been shut down. And according to my list of spaces, I see we should have taken a knee. Mario is to blame while we're 3-1. And so I'm like, so I go into space and I'm listening and I'm like, why are they talking like they lost? Are they trying to troll people or what? So I'm in the space, I go to ESPN and I see Georgia Tech has beaten Miami. And so then I'm like, how did this happen? And when I watched the last minute and 30, guys, I got some good friends that are Miami fans. But I would let this slide for you guys if this was the first time Mario had ever done this. But it's the second time. He did it at Oregon against Stanford and lost. We got to start holding these coaches accountable. To me, bro, that's a fireable offense. If Jim did that, do you know how many people in the nation will be going off on Jim Harbaugh?
A lot, a lot. Everybody.
Was the running back down? Possibly. I did watch the replay. It did look like the running back was down, but it shouldn't even got to that. Should have took a knee, and that been it. So that's the game I'm gonna highlight for my scores of the week.
All right, man. Like I said, crazy ending to that night. That Miami game, of course, and then to top it off with Pac-12 after dark, that USC game was absolutely wild. I was pulling for their demise. I'm not even gonna lie because I ain't gonna cap. Looking at their schedule next season for Michigan, man, USC is a mark. As long as Alex Grinch is on that staff, walking on that sideline, I don't care. I don't take USC serious as a program.
Lamar
I just don't.
Jackson line one.
Like, come on now. I don't even want him no more. They like. I feel like they just ruined him into where he's not even salvageable anymore.
Damn.
But if you look, if you decide to come, right? Pause. If you decide to transfer, right, right after the spring or in the spring, we get some time with you. Maybe you'll crack the
Develop you.
rotation, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we can because we can get you right. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But it's
get
gonna
you ready
take
for the
time.
league.
Like I'm not
Yeah,
saying you're gonna be ready when Will's ready because Will's going after the next year, right?
yeah.
I'm
But
not saying you're
you
gonna
come
win with
after
him.
you come a year after Will, because
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now the way you playing at USC, you're a fifth, sixth round pick at best, big dog.
At
I'm not
best,
gonna
maybe
get this development.
off measurables and all that. You know what I mean? So just listen. Come home. Come home. I pray you're still with your girl because if you're not, she dragged you out there just to lose. That's all I'm saying. But um, like I said, around the country, it was a crazy patch up out the dark. Like I said, that went to what 3 overtimes. USC
Yeah,
finally made a stand on defense. So shout out to USC. They got the dub. We'll see how this Oregon Washington game shapes out because this Pac-12 race is getting tight and tighter by the week. And we all know the Pac-12 will self cannibalize themselves. It just depends on who strikes first. So.
facts.
Uh, like I said, before we end, a little bit of housekeeping notes. If you guys want to find us on Twitter, it's Michigan Unplugged. Same thing with Instagram and TikTok. Michigan Unplugged. We be posting. We are always in spaces ourselves. Want to follow our personal accounts too. That's cool. If you guys want to ever watch the games with us, we watch the games every Saturday. We are in the playback. Um, and we are there all day. It's not just for the Michigan game. We're watching all the games, and it's obviously when the Michigan game is on, we're watching that primarily. But we're cycling through all of these games that are going on. So, like I said, it is a good time. It's a bunch of us in there just hanging out. If you want to go in there, ask a question, you can go ahead and ask it. If you want to go up and say what you think, say why is the dentist back there catching punch still, you can just go and scream about that too. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it's a good vibe all around. You know what I mean? Darnell's there, I'm there, a bunch of other people, other fans who's not just Michigan fans, but primarily Michigan fans. So join the playback if you guys ever want to be part of that. And anything else from you, Darnell?
That's it, man. Y'all can find us on Twitter at Michigan Unplugged. We'll have spaces up this week. Make sure y'all join the community. The Michigan community will get you added right in for all Michigan fans. And look, it's a wrap. We'll see y'all later on this week. We got a preview to the Indiana game, and we actually got a special guest hopping on with us. For all of my betters, we're bringing a betting guru to the pod to spit his knowledge. So super excited about that. That pod will be up Friday. So make sure you tap in, get your bets, your parlays, your prop bets, and let's make you some money this weekend while you're watching Michigan destroy Indiana. I think it's homecoming this weekend, by the way.
No, that was Rutgers. So
Oh,
we are going through all that. We good. We good. We good.
yeah. All right. Well, it's been a wrap. We appreciate everybody tuning in, listening to us ramble, right? But look, we do it for you guys. This is the reason why the pod is here, and we appreciate everybody that tunes in and watches them.
And that's it's Michigan Unplugged.